Blackwood Ridge was a small mountain town, nestled deep in the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest. It was a place where everyone knew everyone. And the biggest excitement was the annual Harvest Festival. The townsfolk were a tight-knit community, living quiet lives surrounded by the beauty of nature. But the forest held secrets, and one of those secrets was about to shatter the peace of Blackwood Ridge forever. It began one autumn evening. The air was crisp, and the leaves had turned a vibrant red and gold. The sun was setting, casting long shadows through the trees. Jake Reynolds, a local hunter, was out checking his traps when he noticed something strange. The forest was unusually quiet, devoid of the usual sounds of birds and insects. Eerie stillness hung in the air. Jake's unease grew as he approached one of his traps and found it smashed to pieces. Nearby, the ground was disturbed, large footprints pressed deep into the earth. They were unlike any animal tracks he had ever seen, far too large and human-like, yet not human at all. He knelt to inspect them, a sense of dread creeping over him. Whatever had made these tracks was enormous and powerful. As Jake followed the trail, the forest grew darker. The prints led him deeper into the woods where the trees grew thicker and the underbrush more tangled. Suddenly, he heard a low, guttural growl. He froze, heart pounding. The sound was close to close. He turned slowly, his eyes scanning the shadows. Then he saw it, a massive figure covered in dark matter, first standing at the edge of the clearing. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and its breath steamed in the cool air. Jake's mind raced. He had heard stories of Sasquatch, tales told around campfires to scare children, but he had never believed them. Now, faced with the creature, he felt a terror he had never known. The Sasquatch roared, a deafening sound that echoed through the forest. It charged at Jake with incredible speed. He barely had time to raise his rifle before the creature was upon him. The last thing he saw was its massive hand swinging towards him, then everything went black. Jake's mutilated body was found the next day by a group of hikers. News of his death spread quickly through Blackwood Ridge. The townsfolk were shocked and terrified. Sheriff Tom Walker, a grizzled veteran with decades of experience, was determined to find out what had happened. He led a team into the forest, following the trail of destruction left by the creature. They found more tracks, more signs of the Sasquatch's presence. Trees were uprooted, and the ground was littered with broken branches and disturbed soil. As they ventured deeper into the woods, they found more evidence of the creator's wrath. Animals torn apart, their carcasses scattered and mangled. The smell of death hung heavy in the air. Sheriff Walker knew they were dealing with something beyond their understanding, something primal and deadly. He called a town meeting, urging everyone to stay indoors and avoid the forest. The people of Blackwood Ridge were scared, but they trusted their sheriff. They locked their doors and windows, hoping the danger would pass. But the Sasquatch was not deterred. As night fell, it descended upon the town with a fury. It attacked homes, tearing through walls and smashing windows. The creator's roars filled the night, accompanied by the screams of its victims. Panic spread as people tried to flee, but the Sasquatch was relentless. It moved with terrifying speed and strength, cutting off escape routes and hunting down those who dared to run. The town's few defenders fought back bravely. Sheriff Walker and his deputies fired their weapons, but bullets seemed to have little effect on the creature. It shrugged off their attacks, its eyes burning with rage. In the chaos, buildings were set ablaze, the flames illuminating the horror unfolding in the streets. Among the survivors was Emily Carter, a young schoolteacher. She huddled with a group of townspeople in the basement of the church, listening to the sounds of destruction above. They could hear the creator's heavy footsteps, its guttural growls as it searched for more victims. Emily tried to keep everyone calm, but she could see the fear in their eyes, the hopelessness. Outside, the battle raged on. Sheriff Walker, bloodied and battered, refused to give up. He rallied his deputies, coordinating their efforts to lead the creature away from the remaining townsfolk. They set traps, lured it into ambushes, but the Sasquatch was cunning and brutal. One by one, the defenders fell, leaving the sheriff to face the creature alone. In a final desperate act, Sheriff Walker led the Sasquatch to the town square, where he had rigged an explosive trap. He stood his ground, firing his last rounds at the beast, drawing it closer. As the creature charged, he detonated the explosives. The blast rocked the town, the shockwave knocking people off their feet. When the dust settled, the Sasquatch lay still, finally defeated. The town was in ruins, its people shattered. They emerged from their hiding places, dazed and mourning their losses. The creator's body was a grim reminder of the horror they had faced. Sheriff Walker, gravely injured but alive, was hailed as a hero, but he took little comfort in their praise. He knew the scars left on Blackwood Ridge would never fully heal. In the weeks that followed, the town began to rebuild. The forest, once a source of beauty and tranquility, now loomed as a place of nightmares. The legend of the Sasquatch, once a campfire tale, had become a terrifying reality. And the creature was dead. The memory of its attack would haunt the people of Blackwood Ridge for generations to come.